Hi, and welcome to the Navigating Neurodiversity podcast. I'm Vivian, registered psychologist, and today's episode is part of our Extraordinary Parent series where we invite parents of neurodivergent children to come in to share with us their stories, their challenges, and their victories. So we're very happy today to welcome Freya Lim. So Freya is a mother of a young man on the spectrum. Now, I first got to know Freya actually after I came across her Facebook post about her parenting journey where she mentioned about her son Joshua, where at the age of 2.5, he was nonverbal, diagnosed with autism. And then fast forward to today, Joshua has already completed his NS and he's now enjoying student life at NTU, Nanyang Technological University. So at the time we wanted to reach out to Freya actually because we wanted to feature Joshua on our Uncommon Minds website. We wanted to feature his story, and so through that we got to know Freya. We found out that we're from the same secondary school. We had a good time reminiscing and so on. So I really wanted to invite Freya in because I feel that she's got a lot of nuggets of wisdom for parenting and so on, and her journey with Joshua has been really special as well. So very happy. Thank you so much, Freya, for making
Thank you,
time.
Vivian, for having me today.
Yes, making time on a Saturday to come and talk to us. Okay, so I think we will start with really rewinding back a little bit to Joshua's early days in his childhood. Do you recall what were the early signs or the first signs that you noticed that told you, maybe he might be neurodivergent?
So first of all, Joshua was born in the year 2001. So 2001 is 20 over years ago. So if you can recall, 20 over years ago, actually during that time, the internet wasn't very advanced. The internet was dial-up. So I don't really know that Joshua has any condition, except that he was very difficult to bring up as a baby and a toddler. So feeding him would take 1 hour, and so he was very quiet. And the only time when we know of the milestones is when we visit the polyclinic. And so I didn't know of anything else except that I kept waiting for him to speak his first word, maybe mommy, daddy, but there was no sound. It was very silent. And then I realized he didn't really look at me. So I would be carrying him, and whatever he wants, he would just point, and he would just use his body language to go this way with his head, and then I would have to carry him.
I see. So you lean towards
he will lean towards it. What I noticed is that the way he plays with toys is also a bit strange to me, but I didn't really thought anything about it. So until one day, I had a Reader's Digest. Can you imagine during those days, everything is not internet, you have all the paper lost from the trees. So it just placed in front of me on the coffee table. On the cover page, it says, "Does your child have autism?" So I remember being very attracted to it because as a mom, we do have some gut feeling, even though I don't really know what's wrong with Joshua. So I just took up the book and flipped to the page, and it has a lot of boxes for us to check. Like number 1, no eye contact. Number 2, the toys, speech delay, like don't play with other children. So all I forgot what are the checklists, but I checked on all the lists. So I quickly spoke to my husband, and then he just kept quiet, but he also never denies. Then he said maybe we should bring him for a checkup. And then we brought him to see doctor. The first thing they do is to rule out that he has a short tongue or he is deaf. So only after ruling out all these things, then we took a step further to see the child development unit. We were referred there at the SGH. So that's when he was diagnosed.
Right. So that was about the age of 2.5.
Yes, about 2.5.
Yes. Okay. And then what was, because obviously at the time you said there was no internet. It was very hard for you to find out more. Yes. So what was your initial reaction? How did you feel? What was going through your mind? When he was diagnosed?
Actually, a lot of mixed feelings then. The first thing that went through my mind was, oh no, how is he going to cope as an adult? What if we pass on? what is going to happen to this son. So a lot of worry, but at the same time, I felt kind of relieved knowing that, okay, now I know what is wrong with Joshua. My husband cried actually on that day, I still remember. But somehow I remember that day I felt it's very strange. I still remember feeling an extreme sense of calmness. I cannot explain that, but probably now, I was a free thinker then, but now that I have a religion, I felt probably maybe Holy Spirits or God was there by my side. I'm not very sure, but it's just an unnatural sense of calmness, and I tell myself, Joshua will be fine because he's my son. You know, that kind of thing. I'm his mom. I will make sure I do my best. I will make sure he at least can work at McDonald's or whatever, you know.
Independent.
Not that there's anything wrong with this occupation, you know, or start any occupation that makes sure that he's independent enough.
Yes, right. Could you also share with us, maybe some of the highs and lows that you experienced in the journey?
In fact, there were more lows than high. Okay, so I guess this part a lot of parents should be able to relate. First of all, before Joshua was diagnosed, when he doesn't talk, he doesn't greet people, I get a lot of accusation because my husband was a cabin crew and he flies around. So the responsibility of making sure that he talks landed squarely on my shoulder and maybe my mom's shoulder. I received comments from in-laws such that, what have you and your mom been teaching Joshua? How come he still doesn't know how to talk? So I looked at my husband and my husband just kept quiet. So, I mean, just to draw a parallel to workplace, if your boss's boss accuses you of not working, but your boss saw how hard you work, the least you would expect is for your boss to stand up for you. No, I've seen how Freya works. She works very hard. You know, but when there's no one on your side, it really felt discouraging. And so the best part was, after he was diagnosed, fast forward, he knew how to talk. I can tell you, being a mother can be a thankless job because the comments I received was, see, I told you Joshua is normal. So the part where the acceptance and the recognition of the mother's hard work was totally gone. It's not that he's normal. It's just that we really work very hard to get him to talk. I wouldn't say normal, but he is still neurodivergent.
Yes. And that's one thing about parenting a neurodivergent child, right? That's something that comes so naturally and easily for another child. It's like, wow, you're going to put in 100 times the effort.
Yes. So when we went for the diagnosis, he was also diagnosed with slight dyslexia. So it's very strange or scary, you know, when you try to buy dotted papers for him to write ABC. With the dotted line, he can write. But the minute you replace with an empty blank piece of paper, he will write in mirror image. So he will write D. So everything is mirrored. So I highlighted this to the CDU department, and then he had early intervention. So these are some of the few lows that I went through as a mom. The other downs that I experienced was I guess marital conflict. So with Joshua's condition, I needed a helper. It actually affected my work because I had to spend a lot of time on him, and he also wakes up like 4 times a night, even until 2-year class.
You were working full time?
I was working full time. I was working as a producer in the TV industry then, and sometimes we need to do video editing way into the wee hours of the night. So our salary is comfortable. I needed help, I needed a helper, but my husband was against it. So the lows was that I was very, very stressed, very, very stretched for time. And that is one low. And the other low is that sometimes the public couldn't really tell when a child has autism. And my child is very quiet. And even when he did something wrong, he would never say sorry. I tried my best to teach him to at least say sorry, but I couldn't. So an incident happened in a food court where he accidentally spilled an adult's drinks. So the adult just disregarded the mom standing there. The adult just started scolding a toddler, you know. And at that point in time, I'm not sure if I am being realistic, but I thought Joshua needs to learn. So I always tell the parents, children, if whatever we teach them at home and they never learn, even for normal neurotypical children, they never learn, they step out, society will teach them a lesson. It doesn't come from a mean perspective, but really our bosses, society, strangers will all teach us a lesson. So when the stranger was scolding Joshua, I did not do anything. It is for Joshua's interest actually, because I want him to know that if he does not learn how to apologize, in future if he step into society, he will learn his own lesson. So, but then again, there is also the public is not aware but in that moment, probably I also cannot expect the public to know. Okay, so during Joshua's early years, before we even found out anything, he was very difficult. I just find that why is this child so different? He's very difficult to bring up, but we never spank him or anything. And for example, he was non-verbal, and then one day I brought him to a coffee shop, and because he was a very quiet child, for no reason, he would just suddenly bang his head on the coffee shop table, and I do not understand why. And because he couldn't verbalize it, so later on hindsight, I realized probably he was frustrated. He wanted to say something he could not say, and it can only be exhibited through such behavior. And other behaviors include, I will be bringing him to like those old estates, Bedok, Block 85 Hawker Center.
But
there's a wet market. The floor is all filled with dirty water. As long as he's not happy, he will just lie down on the floor. So he doesn't cry. His role is very silent. He will just lie down on the floor, then he will look at you like that. A very defiant look. And then he will start to open and close his legs and slide on the floor like an octopus. Then you can see him slide, fall and burn away. I'm like,
so he's using his body language to show you, how he felt.
This is so different from other toddlers. They are not like that. So I still remember on that day, fateful day, I couldn't take it because it was really dirty floor. I hold it up and just bang. And because it's near the food center, so all the strangers will be looking at me. So they may think I'm a bad mother, but on that day I really cannot take it. I just want to let him know that he cannot lie down on the floor as and when he feels like it. My mom also tell me that, please don't give birth anymore. I take care of 3 children, you, your brother, and your younger sister. It's easier than taking care of one Joshua. So you know how difficult it is. So my mom will tell me, I take care of him in daytime, you take care of him at night. But I'm a full-time producer. So at night, I'll be taking care of Joshua. And it got so bad that because I suffer from lack of sleep, and my husband doesn't want a helper, so I'm all on my own. And so I suffer from lack of sleep, and when I suffer from lack of sleep, I'll get migraine. When I get migraine, I get flashes of light everywhere. Colors light, the pain will shift here and there. Yeah, the aura. Call that aura, okay. And then I'll be vomiting. So there was once I vomited in a meeting and in front of my boss. So, but very thankful, one of the colleagues know that I had migraine and informed me that dark chocolates help. So during that point, I found meditation and I ate dark chocolates. Somehow the meditation was so helpful and I was able to sleep after that.
Right, so you found your own ways of self-care, despite all the challenges, you found meditation, your mother was there for you, you had friends that you could, lean on and so on. So that really helped your journey.
Okay, now come to think of it, I don't know whether my friends find me like a broken record, but I'm very thankful to them. So, there are many people who are not aware of what is autism, and whenever I try to talk about the subject about my son with my colleagues during lunchtime, the table will just go quiet. Because I guess the public does not know how to handle this topic of autism. So it's always very awkward. But fortunately, there are always a few friends who are willing to lend a listening ear to me, and I will share my experiences with them, my challenges without a helper. And the other thing, thank goodness, was I had my mom who was there to help me out. So my mom was illiterate, but at least she dedicated her time to ensure that at least Joshua is safe. And the other way I cope is that I really have to cut down a lot of other activities. So I dedicated my time just to Joshua. So in a sense, I cut down on my shopping time, my outings with friends. So I actually had quite little friends. That was not my priority. And so my weekends was all basically Joshua.
Yes. Were there any like highs or happy moments that you recall as well?
So I guess as parent with a child who is non-verbal in the early years, during the toddler years, the happiest moment would be when we first hear them talk. So this is really with the help of early intervention, early diagnosis, and parents really practicing the early interventions to a T.
Yes.
Yeah, so we really need to have that commitment.
Yes.
Okay, so what happened was, during one of the interventions, Joshua went through speech therapy, occupational therapy, and some other intervention. So every Wednesday, I had a very kind boss who allowed me to leave the office early. So I remember I was with a sports channel then, the boss was very kind. But of course the workload is the same, so I will need to catch up on my own time after that. And then every Wednesday we went there. So one day I asked the speech therapist innocently. So I say, Miss Who and Who, does it mean that Joshua come every Wednesday, so you teach him all the phonics? He'll be able to talk already, is it? She looked very sharply at me, and I'm very thankful for it. And she asked, you think this lesson is for Joshua? No, this lesson is for you, the parent, to learn phonics from me. It's not for them to learn. Once a week of speech therapy is never enough for a child. You as the parent, you need to learn from me. That's why you need to be around. You need to bring back this training from me and practice it in every possible opportunity with Joshua. So I was shocked, but now on looking back, I was very thankful for her straightforwardness. In one of the occupational therapy, we were taught one very important thing, which is delayed gratification. Delayed gratification basically means in order to get the child to talk, whatever he wants, you don't give it to him first. You only give it to him as a reward after he does what you want him to do. And this is very important because it ties back to early diagnosis. The earlier you find out about the child's problem at 2 years plus, the earlier you practice delayed gratification. Delayed gratification at 2 years plus, it works. If you delay until 15, 16, you tell the child, you talk, and then I give you food. The child won't believe. No, you will definitely give me food. But at 2.5 years, it's actually easier to get them to do what you want. So it's better to be diagnosed as early as possible. So together with the delayed gratification and the speech therapy, I got all the phonics onto a flashcard. So I practice it elsewhere. Other parents will look at me, but I don't really care. Before a meal, I would flash up for him starting from A to Z. Then he will say B for B, C for K, starting.
So you practice all the speech sounds, and only when you finish, then you
practice a few. So he has to know that he has to earn it.
Yes.
Once you overcome that hurdle, the rest is very easy. So this is very important. This is very magical part. Okay, and then after he knows cat. Then you ask him to practice bat. So I write down all the similar words together so that he knows how phonics work. Because for these children, right, if you practice reading with him, they don't learn like neurotypical children. Neurotypical children can memorize and they can infer and come up with new pronunciation themselves. But these children cannot. So we have to take an additional step, which most parents fortunately do not have to. And so I don't take all this for granted. Because not all children just know how to read just like that.
Yeah, that's right.
So
we really have to break it down.
Go back a few steps.
Yeah.
Go back a few steps. So after that, with the delayed gratification method, he started to talk. And then with muscle memory, his pronunciation got better. And so one of the high was that, I still remember, very dramatic. I was in public. He'll be he wants me to carry him. Okay? And he'll be dragging my feet, then I'll be dragging him along. The one doesn't want to talk, 2.5 to 3 years old. And then I really squat down. It was like a tug of war. And I'm so glad I did not give it to him, because if I gave it to him at that point in time, he will know he will have the upper hand. So it sounds very cruel, but we have to let them know that they have to earn it. So I squat down and I said, Joshua, look at me. Say one. Oh, he paused. He doesn't want to talk. Then he gave me the real eyes at me. He looked away. He was very angry. Then for like eternal moment, he said, he opened his mouth. So that was a high for me because he really doesn't want to open his mouth. It's just He said, repeat after me. 2. Oh. Repeat after me. 3. So at least he is willing to do.
Yes.
He knows that he has to open his mouth. So once you get it started, the second time round, he's used to it. Oh, he knows he has to do. So 1, 2, 3, until that's when I started to carry him. So this is really delayed gratification in practice, in real life. And so the same goes for the flashcard, for the speech therapy. So all these intervention works hand in hand.
Yes.
And the high was really when I started to talk.
That's right. Yeah, and it just makes me feel that because as parents, right, our instinct is to, carry our child, protect our child, love them and so on. So in a way, you had to control yourself, right? You want to carry him, but you just have to tell yourself that it's like tough love. You have to do it because that's the way that he's going to improve, and he did
Yes.
So that's good.
Yes. So the other high, I guess, was growing up. So Joshua came to know about his condition only in Set 3. So in primary school, we didn't really know how to broach this subject with him. And after he knew of his condition, it's very heartening to see him trying his best to control his tick movement. But the way tick movements are like repetitive movements, it can be from the eyebrow, it can be mouth. So it happens after this thing is over, a new tick movement will appear. So I guess some parents can relate to that. So it's very heartening to see Joshua trying his best to manage his tick movement and trying his best to step out of his comfort zone. And he took part in like public speech in secondary school. And he scored very well in his N level. And these are the high moments for us.
Yes. So I think, Freya, you might have alluded to this already, but what were the most helpful things that you think you did that really helped Joshua? Would you say it's, the delayed gratification, like really, in a way, 很心啦, right? Hardening your heart to do what you felt would be most helpful for him?
Yes, because after that, he really started talking and practicing on his tongue muscle. And when he realized his pronunciation is getting better and better, it becomes a positive reinforcement and
like a virtuous cycle.
So it's a positive cycle.
Success breeds success kind of thing.
Yes, so it becomes a positive cycle for him and he built his confidence from there. But I guess if you're able to trace back all these things, right, it's really early intervention and early diagnosis. So if at any point in time you suspect your child has some condition, send them for a checkup. And when I see some documentaries, I will often hear parents comment that, they spent $3,000 for speech therapies, but the result was ineffective. So I really want to highlight this. I may be the bad person to say this now, but I really want to help parents. So the first question you have to ask yourself is, were you like me initially? Did you just throw your child to the speech therapist? That's very important. Okay, because I'm so thankful I learned it early. So I have to share this with you now. Or did you learn from the speech therapist and practice it 24/7 with your children? The onus is on us to practice it with our children. So we have to extend that portion out from the speech therapist.
Yes.
Magic just doesn't happen in the speech therapist room.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really, really key point, that actually as the caregiver, there are many, many opportunities. I mean, it's not just therapy doesn't just occur in this clinic setting, with the therapist, but therapy, the therapeutic interventions and the strategies that you're teaching your child can occur anywhere. Like you say, at meal times when he's asking to carry you, those are all opportunities for you to practice.
Yes. And I really have to apologize, if I come across as I'm blaming the parents, but I'm not, because I'm thankful I have that someone to remind me. So today, I want to be that person to remind parents
So we talked about what's most helpful that you did. In terms of therapy, would you say like speech therapy, occupational therapy? Were there other things that you tried that you felt was really helpful for Joshua?
Actually, during that time, I was quite ignorant. So I didn't get to search the internet on anything else. So what I did was just basically follow the direction of the therapist. So we practice writing all this with Joshua. So I just practice.
Okay.
Every weekend, I will practice it to a T.
Yes.
Yeah.
Were there times when Joshua refused? That means you tried to do it and he was just not cooperating.
Initially,
So
yes.
that's where you had to stand your ground and
Yes,
set those.
there will be a tug of war. There will be. And we have to stand firm and they have to learn that they have to earn it. Once they give in, right, they will learn, they will know, they will do it again the next time. Right? It becomes very easy after that.
Yeah, so it's always the beginning part where you're setting the structure and the routine, that's always the hardest.
Yes.
But once you cross that hurdle, you find that he accepts that, okay, every day this is how things work.
Yes.
And this is how you have to earn it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in one of the structured, it was a structured intervention. It was actually like what you need to do, like 9 a.m. you have to brush your teeth, 10 a.m. is meal time, 11 a.m. is homework time. But we do it in a very interactive way. So CDU taught me to label on the table, for example, and then the timetable you have to put it in somewhere in the living room. So it's like this length made of cardboard, and it comes with a plastic card, small little plastic card, and then you have to put, you have to use different colors like purple, yellow. Purple may be tea time, yellow color may be toys time, playtime, green color may be meal time. So this is his timetable every day, and we have to structure it for him.
Yes.
So every morning we have to hold his hand to bring the first card, maybe it's breakfast time, to match it with the same color in the house and put it there.
Yes.
So he will have to learn. Then he know it's breakfast time. After that, take back, you use Velcro lah. So take back the card out and put it back. Take the next yellow card, it's homework time. Then you go to his study table, found it yellow color, stick it, then you know it's homework time. Initially, it's chaos. He doesn't want to follow, he will cry. So the therapist taught us a very gentle way. We don't scold the children. If he doesn't want to keep his toys, you don't have to scold him. Parents. So you just gently hold his hand, pick up the toys, put it in. And I don't think they will struggle, because if you're gentle with them, they're only toddlers. If you're gentle with them, they will just follow you. So it works towards the end result was, in the morning, when he wakes up, he will automatically go to see his timetable. He will take out the first one, go and find, sit down. After he's done, put it back, go and find the second one. So this timetable is very flexible. You can change what he wants to do.
That's right. But once you have the structure,
yes.
After
So
that, as he gets older, you can put in homework time and things like that.
Yeah, so it's very structured. So once he got past his dyslexia, that is another intervention, which helped him so much. He doesn't have problems with writing mirror images after that. And then we can convert that structure into a notebook. So 9 a.m. is actually a timetable.
Exactly. So I always tell parents as well, actually, we all have, our phones, we have our timetable and everything. So it's something very natural that we all need to function, and we're just teaching them from a young age to have that routine and structure as well.
Yes.
Yeah. That's wonderful. So I think what Freya just described is what we call structured teaching, which is one of the key intervention approaches. I think some of our early intervention centers now use that as well. But I think it's wonderful that you basically imported the whole system and you use it at home, which really helped him to practice and to learn that system. Yeah. I mean, looking at Joshua now, handsome young boy, man already. And what are your proudest moments as you look at him now, what he has achieved?
Actually, there's a lot of proud moments. But if you talk about proudest moment, I will guess that's when he informed us of his acceptance to NTU, material science. And okay, can I differentiate the proudest moment into tangible achievement and non-tangible ones? So this I consider tangible achievement. And I just want to share, right? Strangely, Joshua got into material science today because actually since primary 3, this one not taught by me. Since primary 3, he already told me, Mommy, I want to save the earth. I want to recycle. And so I do not know who taught him that. Or maybe I played Studio Ghibli animations too much to him. Because Studio Ghibli animation is about the values of peace, the values of respecting Mother Nature, by the director Hayao Miyazaki, Gong Qijun. And parents, if you can, please share all these animation with your children. I don't get paid for advertisement, but they're all on Netflix. It's really good, the animations, because this Japanese animation convey values of friendship, courage, peace, a lot of things that the children can learn. So I don't know, maybe it's because of this. So Joshua said in primary 3 that he wanted to practice recycling. In secondary 2, he scored well enough that the teacher told us he actually can move from normal to express. But after having discussed that, we decided to let Joshua continue in his normal academic stream, because we wanted him to learn at his own pace and to be happy with learning. So we believe that the process, the journey is more important. So never mind that he spends 1 more year. Secondary 5 is fine, as long as they are happy. So, but in secondary 4, he scored well enough, 5 subjects, 8 points, with a minimum of B3 in English to qualify for what we call the Poly Foundation course. It wasn't available in our era one, so I'm very thankful for Minister Ong Yi Kang. So I think that time he was the education minister and this was set up. So these children are able to skip O-level and go straight to Poly Foundation, which is called that year 0 before going to year 1. So I think his confidence improved from there, and he studied medicinal chemistry. Okay, minus off the word medicinal. Actually, they don't study medicine. They study more on natural chemistry. And during his final year project, they got awarded the most impactful award project because they came up with a biodegradable plastic bag. And so they came up with a prototype made from the casein, from the milk waste. And then after that, he moved on to NTU, which is a continuation of what he wanted to do. So he wanted to so-called save Mother Earth, want to have a sustainable world for everybody. And that's why he chose material science. And he wanted to study more. Maybe he wanted to invent something. I do not know. But I see that as his higher purpose. And it's me as a parent, to support him. Yeah. So these are the proudest moments.
Yes, such an inspiration. I mean, it's almost like he achieved his childhood dream, right? You said from primary 3 already, he's like Captain Planet. I want to save the earth, I want to recycle. I didn't know he's in material science, like on the way.
Yeah, but it's very tough. It's very stressful for him now.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure, yes. And also all the hard work that you put in as well. I mean, we do know that autism is really on the spectrum, right? And even though, when Joshua was first diagnosed, obviously he didn't come across as, like you said, very high functioning, very mild. In fact, you had a lot of challenging behaviors that you had to work with. But over the years, you saw a lot of improvement and so on. And then here he is today.
Yes.
Right?
And these are the measurable improvements.
That's right.
The tangible one. But the intangible one that I'm most proud of him is that he has been such a good son, such a good boy. Even no doubt he's very difficult to manage as a kid. But once he starts talking, you realize that children on this spectrum, somehow they have a common denominator. Correct me if I'm wrong, I just feel that they have this natural honest tendency about them. So one day, I bought M&M's chocolate in the fridge and he just come to me, "Mommy, can I have 3 M&M's? I said, "Sure." So he ran and then I followed him. Other children, I won't say other children, some children, some playful one watching, they will take 4, they will take 5, right? So I really picked at him. He literally just took 3. And then I ran off. It's something that's very honest and very innocent about these children.
Yeah, pure soul.
You're right. There's something that's very pure for them. And sometimes maybe to console myself, I came up with this theory that probably sometimes I look at the world and I think the world's values could be geared towards maybe more of monetary, could be a bit corrupted already. And hence these children are sent to the earth with a certain pure soul to balance it off, with a certain honesty. I do not know. Maybe this world needs people like them to help to adjust it back.
Yes.
I do not know.
Now, over the years, as you walk with Joshua on this journey, do you feel that society's perception of autism spectrum or neurodivergent kids, has it changed over the years? What do you think?
If you ask me, don't mind me, I'm going to give a very frank answer. The answer that I'm going to give is actually no. Because I still remember many years ago when I tried to share about my son's condition, like during lunchtime with my colleagues, you can feel that everybody got awkward and the topic was inevitably shifted to something else. And fast forward to today, sometimes I would test water lah. Sometimes, because I also wanted to create awareness about autism. And I feel that there's nothing wrong with, with sharing. So I share. And immediately I can sense the atmosphere was a bit weird. People do not really know how to handle when a mom share that, the children has autism. So, and some of the comments I received would be like, oh, your son can still go NTU. He has autism, can still go NTU. So from this sentence, you realize that their assumption is that people on the spectrum are not academically good, or maybe their IQ is low. So that's the assumption. But I just want to clarify here that the reason why they are called on the spectrum is that they can range from low IQ to high IQ. So I would like to use this opportunity to clarify people's misconception about autism. Oh, if a child is autistic, he or she must have low IQ. So that is not very accurate. So from all these comments, I can gather that the awareness of autism and the meaning of being on the spectrum is still not there.
Right. So it sounds like there's a lot of more work to be done. What do you think can be done better in terms of improving awareness?
I guess a lot can be done, but it's a paradox. First of all, in order to create awareness, parents need to step forward to share what is autism. But there is, because of this stigma about autism, that is stopping a lot of parents from stepping forward to share what is autism. And so the perception that autism equates to Rain Man, the movie, the old movie, that is a classical autism. But nowadays, a lot of children are on the spectrum. So it's like a vicious cycle. Because of the stigma, parents dare not step forward. Because parents dare not step forward, people are not made aware. And because people are not made aware, let us, may I say, be more courageous with sharing and let other parents and neurotypical children know what is autism. Even autistic children come with their own talents and their own plus points. And let the school know also, that your child has autism. So I think awareness starts from acknowledging, and we ourselves must not have that stigma.
That's right. So encouraging more people to come forward to share, either from a parental perspective, or even, Joshua shared about his experience through Uncommon Minds as well, sharing about his story, and he's also doing that to raise awareness and to really advocate for people on the spectrum of neurodiverse.
And on that, right, I just want to share one story about Joshua was in mainstream primary school and went to a mainstream secondary school. So because of a lack of awareness, this is what happened to Joshua. So he joined a CCA called Boys Brigade. It is a uniform group. And uniform group, they always have to move around in groups. So sometimes there could be waiting times in the school hall, badminton hall. And in secondary school, the students already have handphone. They can record video anytime. So at that point in time, Joshua had that tick movement of doing this. He will do this. And neurotypical children, not knowing that is just a tick movement, he started to record the video of Joshua, zoom in on Joshua's face, and post it in the group chat. Okay, so these are the things that if mainstream if parents of neurotypical children knew, they probably would have told their children, when you're in school, if you come across someone who is slightly different from you, please refrain from doing things like that. Please be more sensitive. Or this is just tick movements for these children. If only they are aware. But are the schools giving talks on such topics? I guess not. So that's why my frank opinion that I don't think anything has changed. But having said that about bullying, I received a lot of queries from Facebook Messenger from parents. One of the top questions they ask is, are they bullying in mainstream school? And how do we cope with it? So sorry, I guess this is a sideline, but I just want to share maybe for your future content. And I want to share with parents. Okay, I'm a very realistic parent. Okay, so if you look around the world today, even us as normal adults, when we enter into society, enter into workplace, have you not seen bullying around? There is bullying. Okay, there is bullying. So I understand that some parents are very fearful of their child being bullied. I was in your shoe before, but sometimes we have no choice but to see our children go through that stage. It's a necessary pain, and it's even more painful for the parent to see. But we just have to be their guardian angel and shadow and monitor their reaction. So number one, just be wary that it happens even to normal kids. And so in mainstream school, like the story that I shared just now, such bullying due to ignorance happen. But having said that, the next thing we must check is we have to see our children's reaction. Okay, so for the video case of my son's stick movement, I was very ready to step into the principal's office with that video. But I look at Joshua. He was blissfully ignorant that he was being bullied. That's the thing about these children. They are just so kind. Sometimes they're not very aware of their happenings. They just... He didn't realize. So I kept quiet. So can you imagine if he didn't realize? And I said, no, this is bullying. I'm going to step into the principal office. I'm going to make a big scene out of it. And now Joshua is aware. Once he's seen it, he cannot unseen. He realized that this is bullying. So there are times when we can just take a step back. If he feels it's okay, then I will let it rest. But if Joshua's reaction then was, Mommy, I'm feeling very sad, I'm feeling very depressed, I'm being bullied in school, I will definitely do something about it. Because as parents, this is something, it's like our worst nightmare coming true, right? We send you to mainstream school with this worry of bullying and it's happening.
Yeah, so you take a more measured approach. You wouldn't immediately, go to the school and you will assess the situation first to see what's really needed. Yeah, that's very helpful. Yes, so I wanted to ask also about, actually we talked a bit about schools already, right? What schools can do better. Do you have any messages or advice for teachers, perhaps, for schools on how they can better support students who are neurodivergent or on the spectrum?
Okay, so maybe I can share also another story when Joshua was in primary school. And my decision was to send him to that neighborhood primary school. It's a mainstream primary school, purely for logistics and convenience. Because at that point in time, I was deciding whether I should send him to Pathlight or to somewhere near my mom's house. So that primary school was my alma mater. And Pathlight has a waiting time of 2 years. And that school, he can go in. So I decided to just send him to the mainstream school, and then we see how he copes along the way. If not, we will just send him back to Pathlight. So that was my plan B then. Okay. So I decided to speak to the vice principal of that primary school. Remember, 20 years ago, autism was like kind of unheard of. So the vice principal's reaction was, as a parent, you go in to seek support. You're looking for support. But her question to me was, how can you prove to me that your son is suitable for our school? Okay, so it's like, okay, now not only am I not given the support, I am to show you that Joshua is capable enough to go into mainstream school. Okay, so from her question, you roughly know that she has put children with autism on a lower level. Maybe she's not even aware that they can have very high IQ. It's just that they are neurodivergent. They think differently and probably they require just certain conditions for them to excel academically. It doesn't mean that they're stupid. So back to your question, what kind of support? There is a lot of support we need from schools. So how I think schools can help is that probably teachers can equip themselves more with the knowledge of autism. I believe they are seeing more and more children on the spectrum being sent to mainstream schools. And I believe the teachers nowadays are different from my time. Our time, the teacher will just label the child as stupid, naughty. But now we know that it's a condition. But I do hope that teachers not only equip themselves with just personal knowledge, but the MOE can also work hand in hand with the teachers, and the schools can also help to create more awareness by inviting specialists, go to the school to give talks about what is autism or even ADHD, and what are the things that neurotypical children can help, like not taking videos, not bullying, be more accepting to make it a more inclusive society.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So I think all these are great things that schools, I guess it's already being done, but there's always more that can be done. Do you have advice that you will give to other parents of neurodivergent children, or if their child is on the spectrum? I guess we have parents who maybe are on different stages of their parenting journey. Some of them, their child may be still quite young and dealing with some of the challenges which you face. But yeah, what would be your advice to them? You've given a lot of good advice already. So this is just, anything additional.
Okay, this one, based on the private messages that parents send me on Facebook, the first thing that I can sense from them is that they are very worried. And rightly so, because I also remember myself being very worried about, our children's future. So, I just want to share that I'm not sure if I can classify Joshua's case as a success story. Because he's only in NTU and I do not know how he reacts when he goes to work next time, whether he can even find a job. But I would say, judging by Joshua's improvement, we can tell that children has a lot of potential. So, I'm not trying to trivialize your worry, but I just want to assure you that there's a lot of room of growth even for children on the spectrum. So don't worry too much, but rather to spend your time more on focusing on the achievable targets that you can get your children to reach, like through the various intervention, speech therapy, etc.
Yes. So I think Joshua's journey probably, it represents that, I would say, traditional notion of success, where most parents, especially Asian parents, want to go to university and get a good job and be independent and so on. So that's certainly one track, of success that maybe many parents do aspire towards. But I would say for children on the spectrum, actually there are many other ways.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily have to be that traditional, going to university and so on. It's really about what you said earlier about finding their strengths, and at the end of the day, if they can be independent, they can lead a fulfilling life, right? The kind of independence and the quality of life, I think, is what most parents want, even if they don't fulfill that traditional path.
Definitely agree.
Yes. So okay, so maybe we'll end off with, we've talked a lot to our parents of neurodivergent children. What about parents of neurotypical children? What role do you think they have to play when they're parenting? Because like you said, a lot of children with neurodiversity, they are actually within our mainstream school setting, right? So what do you think our parents of neurotypical children can do to support these inclusion efforts?
So I guess parents of neurotypical children, I'm not sure whether this will even be in your topics when you guide your children, but if you happen to watch this video, probably what you can share with neurotypical children is just being mindful of it is a first step. Being aware, being able to read what are the traits of autism, ADHD, and then to teach your children, try not to pinpoint them out as different, and try out ways to include them, inclusivity. So do not do things that I mentioned just now, the incident that happened to Joshua. But if they have certain tick movements, explain to them that, oh, this is just a part of a repetitive movement from them. Maybe it's just for them to cope with their anxiety. And maybe just let them know, create awareness of this topic with their children will be a first step.
Yeah, absolutely. I also hear from some clients that people use the word autistic to scold each other. It's kind of like, hey, don't be autistic. You're so autistic. And things. So these terms are used quite loosely. And I think, if parents do come across it, it will be really helpful if you also tell your child that it's really not appropriate, because you're basically using the term in a derogatory way, and then using to scold people. Yeah. So yes, thanks, Freya. I mean, it's such an enriching session, and so generously sharing with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for your
experience.
invite.
Yeah, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
Our viewers, if you've got any questions, any comments, questions for Freya as well, please feel free to post in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye. Sorry,
Yes.
I will drink some water.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much. You're very good. Yeah.